Welcome back to the Soundation. This is Swaytoven, and in this video, I'm going to talk about how I like to manipulate the samples that I make. And more often than not, I would record something like this, but I didn't. But this is something a little ambient, atmospheric, maybe a little bit more dark. But the reason why it might not sound as atmospheric or anything like that is because I didn't add any reverb or any effects, which is like what I kind of want to show you, in this video. So we'll give it a listen and just talk about it real quick. That's pretty much it, right? Um, One thing I will say is that it is technically like beat ready because you don't have to like use this right here. I could divide the sounds up, or I could split these by channel and arrange it and all that stuff, but I like to have something like this in the background and then add more sounds over it if need be, or this could just be like the one thing that's in the song, and it's just like there'll just be enough texture and maybe possible movement to where like you might not need that many sounds. And honestly, to even get to this point, to have this type of melody, you don't even need to know how to put MIDI down. And it's like, this is a waste of money, but this plugin called Spawn, it's not a waste of money for people who don't know how to put the notes down, all right? But this is kind of like, I do it, like, you know what I'm saying? They made a plugin just so people don't do this. So it's really like what your time is. But like, I'll just spawn in something right now, right? And that's that, right? The reason why you don't need to know how to put like MIDI down or anything like this is because Spawn has a feature where you can click that right there, and you can export this MIDI, right? You won't export the MIDI, but you'll be able to export the sound to like one of the inserts basically. So it's just like, I'll have the chords playing on 11, I believe. As you can see right there, I have all of Spawn playing, but like, let me see, I could turn the bass, the melody off. You know what I'm saying? Boom. So it's just like, whereas you didn't copy and paste the keys, you now have that melody in which you can manipulate. So what I'm about to show you is also for people who don't know how to put the MIDI down. But one thing I like to do when I have all those type of sections, all right, chords, have a pad. I usually have like some sort of short sustained type of note, like a bell or some pluck, like a guitar or something like that. Maybe a string. What I try to achieve sometimes is like different instruments and like the frequency ranges, because yeah, you can have a lot of sounds and instruments that are low end, but in order to really like utilize or just get the most amount of depth, you want low end all the way up to high end, basically. So if we play this again, right now, this is probably the highest, and it's not even that high for real. It sounds high because it's like cutting through the mix, but like bells and frequencies aren't really. The frequency is kind of based off of like the note they're playing on. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna go in depth without that, but like strings are high up, more so, kind of, sort of, but it's just like, you see, I have something that sounds low and something that sounds high. You want like a contrast, you know what I'm saying? If you have too many of like the low end, then it gets harder to do what I said about adding like an equalizer, if I already didn't say that. Because what I'll do is like, I'll put all these sounds into the mixer, right? Even if it was like a Spawn thing, and the first thing I would do is equalize it. And if there are sounds that are low, right, like how this should sound, or especially how these should are right here, like this sound right here, or this one. See right here, I cut down that low one right there, is because you have to think forward about when you put the 808 down or the kick, or just understanding the whole idea that the low end can eventually become too muddy, um, right, without proper mixing. So honestly, a lot of people, this is called like a, oh man, it's low cut, high. Screw it. Let me not even tell you, bro. It's one of them things. Um, yeah, and I should know. But yeah, so like when you have all the sounds, you like sound selection is pretty important. Um, what I would do is level. All right, so like the volume. All right, because you want things to be in the background or the foreground. You know what I mean? And what further drives that idea of placement of these sounds is reverb. All right, which I do not have except for on this right here, apparently. It's probably really faint, but I turned the reverb on and off. But like while it's turned down and it's reverbed, there is the illusion of it just being somewhere else in the room. All right, so right, you kind of hear like that effect. This sounds more in front, like the lead sounds more in front, while that wobbly sounds more in the background. So it's just like this is all before I render this out, because when you render it out, you can't do anything else basically, right? You have to like come back in here and say, oh, this is how I want it to sound. And it's just like, I pan it left and right. Stereo separation is to help it, I think, also at that width. It creates more space. It opens it up. I don't usually use stereo separation that much, but it's just like for sounds, I don't want to be too tight or some shit like that. And I could just be wrong. I separated from the stereo. I don't want to be too close to the stereo, if that makes any sense. But one thing I like to do with my shorter sustained notes, I like to add delay. But how these notes are, I don't think delay is going to be that good. Maybe not that delay, right? One delay that I like is this one from Manny M from Waves. If I put like ambient delay, all it does is kind of push it back. It really just offsets it. That's all. This particular delay, it doesn't do that annoying like multiple thing. So it's just like, I don't know, like something I do with strings, which I didn't probably reverb the string, this violin. I don't know. So you can like kind of play around with like certain sounds and stuff. Is because from this stage right here, you could arrange something, right? You don't have to have all these sounds together, right? Like if you kind of were picking up on what I was putting down, you could just have 3 sounds play, and that could be your beat. This is something that plugin Spawn will give you, and they would just say put some drums over it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, what I would do after this is this, right? So I got what I have. I don't want to add too many plugins, to be honest, to these individual things. I want to combine these together, all right, into individual tracks. So I'll control click through all of these, right? Control left click, right? And I'll go to a track that doesn't have anything on it. I'll right click that track routing, create submix, melody, meld. It doesn't matter what you call it. Now all of these are playing through this one right here. All right. And this is the one that I put my effects on. Now, when I think about putting effects on my stuff, I have an understanding that the industry beats, they don't be having them type of effects. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is something I heard. Like, a lot of people make beats to make them sound cool, for like other producers and stuff like that, and it makes sense, you know what I mean? Because that's pretty much what it is, right? Because realistically, even if it comes to like just, I don't know, obviously some beats have a lot of effects, but you don't be hearing some of the stuff that the YouTube producers show you. So besides that, what I just said right there, because I was just getting into that little topic, I like to try to hide the effects in a way, and that doesn't make any sense because you're literally using them and that's what's changing the beat. But like, what I mean by that is like this right here. I like to use this particular plugin, Semantics Illusion. I like that, right? Let's see what it does. Now imagine that this little effect right here, even though I paid for the plugin or whatever, or the class, which I did. I watched one video and I was like, this is garbage. You know what I'm saying? I want to hide that effect in a way, because it's just like, what I think about is like this plugin called Splice, where people get samples and stuff. And it's like, all right, yeah, they'll give you the sample and you can use it in your stuff, but if you ever get popular, they're coming for you because of like some legal shit. You know what I mean? So it's just like, at the end of the day, right? You like, a lot of people tell you not to add a lot of plugins to your stuff, which makes sense, right? You don't, because like if you add a lot of plugins, that basically means you've paid for a lot of plugins or cracked a lot of, you know what I'm saying? And you're gonna rely on a lot of plugins, and just depends like what you do with it. But it's just like, simplicity is a wonderful thing, you know what I mean? But one thing that I would start off with this, obviously just how I did the other things, where I would get an equalizer, all right, and I would get rid of the low end. I also just cut this right here. I don't know why. And I seriously don't know why, but it's like, I think with vocals, even though they sit around this, it's just like, I just feel like cutting this is good. I don't know, I'm not saying it's right? You can boost high end, but like I said, you kind of want to have things in mind when boosting that, because it's like hi-hats and other percussions and stuff you might have, but might not matter if depending on the plugins you use. So what I like to do is just see what's up with halftime. This is basically halftime, even though it's called Deja Vu. See, I like to use this setting a lot. I go to 1.5 and then 1/4. I mean, what I just did right there isn't really doing anything because I cut out that low end, but I quite like the low end that this come like. One thing that gets me is the rhythmic, not pumping, but you hear the rhythmicness that comes with this. It's hard to explain, but I hear it every time I use it. This is an important note. So bringing back this Illusion plugin, and where we heard that cool stuff, is where chaining matters. It's because I could add that after the Deja Vu, in which we wouldn't hear that little effect be affected. But like if I added before, it's actually going to sound different, because this would mean that this is going to be affected by the Deja Vu. So and even though I go and I modulate already, sometimes I'll go back and I'll change up what I'm doing in here. You know, that's kind of, I think, one thing that some people might find difficult. Like, they might have a melody and they'll put it into the halftime, and then they might think it's difficult to kind of go back into the MIDI and change it because halftime changes everything up. But I think that's kind of like makes it easy. Depends if you're good with timing. But I like to shift the pitch upwards because you're getting more away from like low end frequencies. Makes it easier to put some low end in there. I'd be careful with how you shift the pitch in terms of like the sense, is because when you have to put your 808s down and stuff like that, if your pitch is a little bit too off, then your drums won't sound right. If that makes sense, right? Like, my drums have to sit now at this interval, right, at a certain note. But if they're like slightly off like this, like 30 cents, I can't. There's not a line on the piano roll for that. You know what I mean? So I, you know, keep that in mind if you ever shift your pitch. It's basically like the start of what I do with the melody, even though like nothing really sounds that different. I mean, this is when you kind of just start going through the effect plugins. I don't have a lot of different effect plugins, you know what I'm saying? I try to work with what I have, so it actually helps me maybe make different melodies instead of relying on the effect to make the melody, right? If anything, I think making sounds is more cool, but you know, I'm saying about how you want to kind of lose the effects that you use. You could lose it in just cutting the time, right? Halftime again. I think depending on the type of vibe that it has, and I obviously didn't get rid of this the way I could have. Um, one I mean, like one thing you could do is like render this out, so it's like also reverb. Basically, I was gonna say, all right, to keep this whole sample in the background, um, I just reverb it basically. Um, Sometimes I fuck around with the reverb, like I turn this down because you don't want too much reverb, I guess. Maybe I'll turn this down. Has to do with the low end, you know what I'm saying? But you could just render it out like this. Render as audio clip. And from here, dang, shit's long. Oh, never mind. That was whatever. I mean, a lot of this is just the fucking reverb. You know what I'm saying? So like from here, it's like now it's a sample. You know, this might be what more people are accustomed to when manipulating samples. I would probably like not copy how many times I added halftime. Um, but you know, when you add the samples, right, you could do something like this, which I would, yeah. You know, it's probably kind of like a fire little, you know what I'm saying? It just depends. Like from here, it's like all that halftime, it basically is speed up because it's like, all right. So let's say if I wanted just to have this right here, all right. You know, all I did was I made sure that the stretch audio was on. I literally halved it, right? I crushed it down to half the time. You know, this could be some type of like fast type of vibe beat, and that's you call it here. You know what I mean? Let's see, cut self. Boom. Ba-da-bum-bum. I kind of like the 808 pattern right here, bro. Let me see what's up with it. So here's the thing, right? All that stuff about me putting everything in the background, adding the reverb and stuff, all it does is allow me to now add stuff to like the foreground now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I wouldn't be opposed to adding like if I had cool sounding like if the stuff I had sounded nice, like if like I could re-download Splice, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? Get some samples that sound cool, whatever. I'm not saying it's bad, but like if I had like better libraries, like Contact Lab, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause you can get good vocals from just the one, the plugins. Like, I would add it, right? I'm used to always adding the same shit, cause like if the samples don't sound good, you end up just reverbing it, so you kind of hide the what sucks about it. But like, what if I just did that right there? I usually don't overlap the snares with the 808s, but it's whatever. Who cares? Oops. Let me see if I can fix that. hi-hats. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I wish I want them in, but I'm getting tired of listening to them, bro. And then on top of that, I feel like I really like this hi-hat pattern right here. I don't know why. Just this. I'm about to just do this. Hold up. Let me go to this. Because who cares? One thing that I realized when I first started making hi-hats, like when I first started putting beats, I'm like, the hi-hat pattern could be anything, for real. As long as it's not overpowering the beat, if it's not like the main aspect of it. So who gives a fuck, bro? Even though this is kind of obnoxious. This is so stupid. I like that little hi-hat behind there. Yeah, sometimes I fuck up with the hi-hat. Like, I don't know if you hear it, right? But this right here, these hi-hats hitting on the same note at different velocities. It's kind of subtle, so maybe only I can hear it, but I'm finna do this shit again, actually. Makes it sound like there's like an echo or a type of delay. I do the same shit with hi-hats like all the time, for real. I don't do nothing different, bro. Ew, what was that? What was that? Well, now the beginning just sounds obnoxious. We're just gonna have to. See, now I'm doing too much, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing too much. I'll just copy and paste this. I'll control C. Oh, cut the beginning. Let's see, we're gonna cut much. Actually, I'm not even control C. Oh man, we're just doing too much, you know what I'm saying? Control V. Just. Add another one right there. How painstakingly boring this must be to watch. Anyway, something like that, you know? I mean, how long was I recording this for? Damn, 30 minutes. That's not that long, for real. Alright, so how about we talk about adding a different melody over this? You feel me? See, seeing that I don't have a lot of things, because I choose not to buy it. Choose not to buy this stuff. I can afford it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I can in this economy, who knows? Guitar, priceless, timeless, you know what I mean? Can't go wrong with it. Add a little spice to the you know what I'm saying? That first note. I'm hearing it. Bah. Where's it at? I was close. Bah. Oh, what? Can't even hear that shit. everything's so loud, so it's just kind of like important. So it's like I only have a couple things. So it's like this is when I would send this to the audio track. Let's go to there. Dang, I gotta turn the 808 down and stuff for that's kind of loud. Guitar still seems kind of low. One way to make it seem like the guitar will be higher is to figure out on the equalizer where it's hitting that, turn the stuff. You kind of see me do it when I said, "Oh, I don't know why I'm turning that down on the equalizer." See, that's her thing now. So it's kind of like, all right, we open up another equalizer. I think the guitar hits around 654. Let's check. All right, well, something's hitting up there. Oh man, I was wrong. It's got some harmonics right there. You see that shit? But it's really the fundamentals at 320. All right, that's important because remember when I said like depending on like the note that you're on, like that determines like the actual frequency or the fundamental frequency. Like, how about I open up this right here, right? Give you guys a little something. If I open up this Q3, what's this playing on? Actually, let me see. Like the note that it's actually on, it's hitting on D sharp. So it's like, if I were to go to like right here, that's kind of like where. That's how that works right there. That's D sharp, basically. That's where the note's hitting, 320. We've seen it on parametric EQ, you know what I mean? So it's like if I want it to cut through, I'll turn that up right there. I think there's ways for like it to follow the note that it's playing. I don't give a fuck about that. This is not really like a mixing thing. But like, you know, so I would actually go to the melody master and turn it down to 320 then. Maybe turn that down a little bit. I just can't get that rhythm right. Something like that, you know what I mean? Something simple. A little spicy guitar on something not crazy. Make sure that's lining up. Guess I cut it off right there. And kind of, this is kind of like adding on to the sample part, because whereas I don't have someone playing the guitar for me to make a sample, I'm not going online to get a guitar sample. You kind of have to need to expand them horizons, because this is just one part of the sample of the guitar, right? This is just one part of the melody. Dang, it's been another 20 minutes. That's crazy. Something like this, right? What I mean by that is like this right here. And if I were to like cut this, split by channel, and then continue to make a new guitar melody here, which I think would be a pretty not bad idea, right? Make unique. I might come out with da-na-na. Right, you kind of want, like me personally, like if I have a lot of repetition, it's like something has to change, right? So I have to make another sample that's gonna change and all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's not that crazy, right? No one's really listening for that anyway, and that's why you have to do it. Yeah, so that should be fire. Like copy that. And then it goes back up to basically. And I think what this helps, right, because this is to the point where it's like, oh, okay, we're getting past the sampling part of how to manipulate it. Boom, now we're talking about how to arrange the stuff. You feel me? Because remember I said, ooh, I could hear myself putting the vocal on over this, right? Where would I add that vocal? You know? So it's just like, that's not a good intro, by the way. It's just coming in without that sound, to be honest. It could be something like this. I could offset it, right, a little bit. Who knows? Let's see how that sounds. And it's like, you have to think of the timing here, is because technically, right, if you were starting to rap at the beginning of the song, this would be right here, right? And this section would be your chorus, and it still is, right? And technically, with timing, this would be in here, sitting like that, right? But to add a little bit of different, like offsetness, and or like it's not even really a different rhythm or flow, anything like that. What I like to do is take this and just put it right in the middle of what the intro and what the hook could possibly be. And that's all about introducing instruments, basically, in a way, right? I'm pretty much introducing it before I get to a little bit before I get to like the hook, right? But I'm not putting it right in the beginning of the intro. It depends how long your intro. It depends how you do your elements. Like if you have like an ambient more intro, it all depends, I guess, at the end of the day, how you want to like hear your stuff play out, I guess. But you know, for a sound that we just made on the sample, you probably want this playing throughout the whole thing until you get to like a verse. And when you get to the verse, right, now you can either, I guess, have a different sample that kind of fits right? Or you can change how this sounds, basically. So how we have an insert 9, maybe it's like, all right, maybe we'll just like, you know, some stuff like that, right? Something to change or modulate the sound. You can add effects that make it more timbreish or something like that. I don't know, but something has to tell a story in terms of the arrangement. But I don't know. I feel like I've been talking for a minute. I usually don't make this type of videos, but I guess like usually when I'm not like this is how I do this stuff. I even though I record it every time, but it's how I would go about it, right? I think it'll come out differently depending on the type of sounds you have. Like I say, like I only have this one guitar, so it's like, you know, I'm not saying the grooves and the melodies is gonna come out the same, because they don't. But it's just like, if I had an electric guitar, I wouldn't make that type of like, you know, spicy long melody. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you know, sound selection's important. Like I said at the beginning, if I already didn't say that when trying to create your sample. But yeah, I'm done talking.